Lucasfilm boss Kathleen Kennedy defends The Acolyte, says Star Wars female cast and crew face unfair criticism because of the fanbase being so male-dominated. Oh, poor Kathleen. Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to the GNRO Minicast. I am your host, Adam Mickelson, aka Drak. I hope everybody's having an awesome day or night when you're listening to this, and we have another awesome story brought to us by boundingintocomics.com, with Spencer McCooley as the author, covering yet another, and in the most recent debacles of the Disney Star Wars canon, The Acolyte. And yes, I'm pretty sure that most of the series is pretty much done at this point, but I feel like the comments here are, when this was supposed to be preparing everybody for The Acolyte, it's more appropriate to cover this instead of all of the bullshit that the creator Leslie Headland has been doing. So without further ado, let's get into this. According to Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy, why is she still the president, by the way? Disney is millions in the hole, hundreds of millions in the hole, and part of that is her responsibility. Why is she still the president, Disney? The backlash to The Acolyte's existence is not a result of Star Wars fans' current exhaustion with the franchise's production-level focus on identity politics, it totally is, but rather the misogynistic attitudes of its primarily male fan base. I love when they say shit like this, and immediately 10 women come out of the woodwork, 10 to 20 women come out of the woodwork saying, we're Star Wars fans and we hate this too. Oh, but they don't exist, do they? No, not at all. It's always the evil men that create the problems, not the horrible feminists in charge. Kennedy offered this defense of Leslie Headland's helmed series green lighting while speaking to the New York Times' Brooke Barnes, so we already know it's not a hard interview, in promotion of its upcoming premiere. Asked by Barnes if she had any thoughts on the widespread despair felt by fans that The Acolyte would be yet another message-first, entertainment-second project from the House of Mouse, the Disney exec asserted, while probably also saying things that were not supposed to be said on camera.
Fade in.
My belief is that storytelling does need to be representative of all people. That's an easy decision for me. And you could do that by making worthwhile characters, and from what everybody has told me about The Acolyte, because I haven't seen it, I was wise enough to avoid that dumpster fire, it hasn't done any of that. In fact, it's just more and more of the same. Operating within these giant franchises now with social media and the level of expectation, it's terrifying. Then leave, Kennedy then asserted. That's my simple answer. If it's so difficult for you to be able to handle, leave. If you can't take the heat, get out of the fucking kitchen. I don't know how that's so hard. Pushing back against the series' pre-release critics, I think Leslie has struggled a little bit with it. Oh, I hope she struggled a lot with it. I think a lot of women who step into Star Wars struggle with this a bit more. Well, let's be honest here for a second, Kathleen. When you had worthwhile directors, male or female, you kicked them out because you tried to meddle in every single thing that they were doing, and they ultimately got sick and tired of dealing with you. So, yes, they've had to struggle a little bit. Probably 80% of that is you over their shoulder telling them what they can and can't do, but that's beside the point. Because of the fan base being so male-dominated, there it goes, they sometimes get attacked in ways that can be quite personal. I know that some people are going to get mad at me for saying this, but yes, there are personal attacks that can go through because there are extremes on both sides of the aisle on social media, whether they like me saying that or not. I've even seen extremes on both sides of the aisle in my YouTube comment section. But here's the thing. They are but 10% of that. A lot of it is honest to God, constructive criticism that they then shut down and immediately say that those people are misogynists, even if they're women, for giving constructive criticism. How dare they? So, no, your argument is null and void, as far as I'm concerned, Kathleen. Weighing in on the topic herself, Headland separately opined to Barnes, "As a fan myself, are you really? I've seen enough people basically saying that, no, you're not. And if the Acolyte is any indication, pretty sure you're not. I know how frustrating some Star Wars storytelling in the past has been. I felt it myself. Have you? Let me guess. You were on the opposite side of the Last Jedi argument, weren't you, Leslie? Weren't ya? You loved that it became basically Tumblr fan fiction. And you hated that everybody else didn't like it, because it's bad storytelling. Yeah, that's not surprising to me. In a text message sent to the reporter following the conclusion of their interview, the showrunner added, "I stand by my empathy for Star Wars fans." You don't have empathy whatsoever. Neither you or Kathleen have any form of empathy whatsoever, because if you did, you'd be changing the direction. "But I want to be clear. Anyone who engages in bigotry, racism, or hate speech, I don't consider a fan." So that's the fan base, because you're not a fan. And the reason I say that is because you yourself engage in bigotry, racism, and hate speech. So by your own definition, you're not a fan. So you've already answered that question for me. Thanks. I appreciate that, Leslie and Kathleen. Hey, Bob, you want to reconsider that whole not firing Kathleen position now? Because every time you don't, you're going to see this clip come up on Minicasts.
Put a ticket and make a gay!
That the Acolyte will feature some amount of unwarranted political commentary was previously confirmed by Headland herself. Well, anything is going to face any kind of political or any kind of commentary. It doesn't necessarily need to be political. It's how you handle it that matters. Expounding on her approach to the series' narrative during a 2021 interview with the AV Club's Danette Chavez, the showrunner asserted, "I mean, it's funny, because a lot of the feedback that I'll get, and I use the term feedback very lightly, but when I do go on social media, the feedback is, don't make Star Wars political. I'm like, George made it political. Those are political films." No, they are not. Because when you say that, you make a jackass of yourself. Are there political tones in the films? Yes, but politics involved in the world itself. You are talking about modern day politics, and no, Star Wars does not influence modern day politics. It has no inference to them whatsoever. Instead, it has politics within the world. So your bass-backward statement is null and void. War is, by nature, political. Jeez. Leslie, I can already tell you I'm so happy that I avoided your show. She continued, disingenuously conflating the idea of ham-fisted political soapboxing with discussions of political themes in order to dodge critics' actual arguments. That's just what's up. It's truly what he was interested in talking about. No, it wasn't. And looking at and digging in. So this is all supposed to be her. Sorry, I should be doing the PR voice. My apologies. Let's see, where did it actually start from there? Conflating the idea of ham-fisted political soapboxing with discussions of political themes in order to dodge critics' actual arguments. That's just what's up. It's truly what he was interested in talking about and looking at digging in. No, nope. No. So it's kind of impossible to tell a story within his universe that doesn't have to do with something that has to be that the characters see externally reflected in whatever is happening in the galaxy at the particular time period. Oh God! Oh God! People subjected themselves to this show! Oh God! This is so bad! Her construction of an argument is so terrible. I can already tell you her writing was just bullshit. So bad. She should have been kicked out of her own damn writing room. You know, that's another thing that we all kind of inherited from him. No, we didn't, and hope to kind of keep reflecting in the work. Hopefully. Oh no! Oh no! Yeah, I can totally understand why the Acolyte bombed. I absolutely can after reading that word barf of an explanation, which I'm guessing was said by her. At current, the Acolyte is set to slice, stab, and force fu its way onto Disney Plus on June 4th. It's already since done that, and so badly, in fact, that I've even heard people who were fans of it at the beginning have since turned on it, calling it absolute utter trash. So how'd that work out for you, Leslie? And it's so bad, in fact, that I've seen a lot of articles basically stating this, that there still isn't a season 2 greenlit for The Acolyte. So if it was so bold and brave and stunning, why isn't it getting a continuation? Why isn't it getting a season 2? Oh, because it isn't. Because just like She-Hulk, it's trash. Absolute trash. And I find it funny that not only are you, Leslie Headland, trying so hard to emphasize that Disney still hasn't greenlit it and trying to get a grassroots fan backlash against Disney when the fans are very much against what you're saying. Very much like how, what's her name? Tatiana Maslany, the lead in She-Hulk, wants a season 2 of She-Hulk and talks about all of the wonderful moments where she got to twerk on camera and felt just so stunning and brave herself. And yet, yeah, She-Hulk 2, or She-Hulk season 2, never happened. Does that mean that we're not going to see Tatiana Maslany show up in, I don't know, a Marvel movie? Probably not. They'll find a way. she'll whine and bitch enough to be able to get into a film. So ultimately, my takeaway from this article is this was a dumpster fire waiting to happen. If you watched it, I am so sorry. So sorry that you wasted your time. Because ultimately, this was not worth your money at all. Just from what I've been able to gain from Leslie Headland, I am glad that I avoided this. And for all the people screaming, but what about X-Men 97? I avoided that shit too, because all I had to do was see the direction that they were going, and on top of that, see the crappy ass animation that they were able to show like weeks before that series debuted. And I don't care what positive reviews it's getting. My response is still the same that it has always been. I have been apathetic towards the idea, just like I've been apathetic towards The Acolyte. So at that point, yeah, Disney is continuing to be a dumpster fire and not learning from their mistakes, and I'm strangely not surprised by that. But what about you? Are you surprised by all of this? Let me know what you thought of The Acolyte. I would be genuinely interested to see how many of you thought just how much of a dumpster fire it was, and I've never even seen it. So leave a comment down below, we can have that discussion. Also consider leaving a like and subscribing on the channel. It definitely helps out with the algorithms and helps out YouTube to be able to realize that having other arguments isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it's honest to God, legitimate discourse. So consider doing all of that stuff, and I will see you guys next time for the next GNRO Minicast. Until then, take care, my friends.